far as growth goes, we've had another record year of growth. In fact, today we're announcing 1,000 hotels in Asia-Pacific trading. That's 200,000 bedrooms a night for sale. We have another 915 in the pipeline in various stages of construction. And just last week, as you mentioned, I announced 150 Spark by Hilton hotels for India. We've just inked a deal in Vietnam for 14 mid-scale hotels. So it is the rise of that mid-scale traveller that's fueling the bottom of the pyramid. That said, full service and luxury is still continuing to do well.
Is the business guest back, or is he and she increasingly conducting their meetings not face-to-face and directly, but on a video conference?
Well, it feels like we were having this conversation over COVID. Was Zoom going to change the world around us? The answer is no, nor did the fax machine, nor did text message. So business travel back with a vengeance. And as we look at perhaps some of the geopolitics, particularly supply chain business and sales reps in the market, if I look at half one booking trends, this year's half one, China accepted, was absolutely great, particularly for Southeast Asia. Half one next year on track to be even better than that.
Okay, so I'm looking through some of the literature that the Hiltons recently put out. It's saying, and I just cannot believe this. So I want to put you on the spot and ask you, the same number of branded hotels in Las Vegas is similar to what all the branded hotels in India. Is that right?
That is right. I mean, when you think of India, it has the characteristics of China, which is the second largest lodging market in the world, 1.4 billion people, young population, historically strong GDP growth. But the infrastructure, so Belt and Road in China or superhighways in the US, is only just getting built in India now. And hotels follow infrastructure. Hotels that are ahead of infrastructure don't do well. So if you think of the India superhighways, you think of the India fast train, you think of India planes on back order, or the 75 airports that have just been privatized. Actually, the story for India is before us. So as far as travel and tourism is concerned, it's minuscule compared to what it's going to be in the future.
That's really interesting, Alan. And I was in India earlier on this year covering the election, and one thing that really stood out was that India-Middle East corridor that is really looking very active. Is that another part of the story then? How are you positioning for that in India?
Yeah, it certainly is. There's a strong correlation for India outbound. Not only do we need to capture the opportunity in India, India outbound will be the story of the next decade. China is the largest traveling population in the travel hemisphere. India moved from 10 million outbound to 27.3 this year, and is scheduled to do more. They're a very different traveller. So not only do we need our brands in the market, we need to make sure that the Indian outbound traveller continues to recognise them as they travel abroad.
So are we looking, some people are comparing it, saying India the new China. What we've seen, the growth in Chinese travelers in the last 2 decades, that's what we'll see going forward from India in the next 2 decades. Do you think that's right, or is that a slight exaggeration?
I think that the mechanics are exactly the same. If you think of the infrastructure build, it's exactly the same. If you think of the trends in outbound travel growth, actually they're getting there faster. So at a macro level, timing is everything in India. The cycles are very different than China, but it certainly seems to have the right characteristics for it, and that's why the industry has been so bullish. And what's different about India this time is its foreign direct investment. In fact, some of the big capital players are in India, and that's new for India, and they haven't been in the past.